little tripod. Alright, I think that should be okay, but we'll see. Okay. So I wanted to discuss some of the risk factors involved in working in the child welfare profession. So just some presentation on the information I found from what I've been told and what I did experience while I was in my practicum. You know, this job is not for everybody. It's not a matter of going into it because there's jobs available into it. There's a very high turnover rate for child welfare workers in the profession of social work, and just in general, it's a very hard job because you see some horrible stuff, and then you're taught to not take it home with you, and then but you're only human, and sometimes that just happens. And if you're not careful and you don't do the self-care and you don't do the stress management like we've learned in this class, it will consume you, and it can be unhealthy. Last semester was really unhealthy for me. I did my practicum last semester, and that wasn't that was great. I enjoyed every minute of that. But not taking home, what you saw there on top of all the schoolwork you had and all the things you learned in the child abuse class. And when I was at the PCWCP retreat this past spring, there was recently a member, a PCWCP graduate who had just passed away after committing suicide because of the stressors of the job. And it's scary for someone, I don't share this a whole lot with everybody, but to suffer from some mental issues myself, to already have a predisposition to that, and then knowing I'm going into a field like child welfare, it has to be something you have to actively make the choice to do the self-care and the stress management, and make sure you take care of yourself. Alright, so it's a little later in the day, so I've changed. I had to put on a clean shirt to go to church. But I just wanted to kind of get back to the discussion. My thoughts were a little scattered earlier when I was trying to discuss all of this, but I've woken up, and my thoughts are a little more clear now. So I wanted to talk about compassion fatigue. In this line of work, it's very easy to forget why you do it because of the stress of the work and the trauma that you see and the immense workload, and you forget why you got into it in the first place and the reason you started doing it, and you forget that it's a calling. And I think that was evident I got to see that personally with a lot of the workers in my practicum last semester. Just really worn out by the work, and kind of apathetic to the reason behind doing the work. And then you have that, and then it comes home with you. And for me personally, it's a huge fear, being semi-newly married and looking ahead to starting a family, or what our future endeavors are going to be as husband and wife, as opposed to where my life's going professionally. And I want to keep them separated. I want to be able to keep them separated so that I don't get divorced. I'm afraid of that. My parents are divorced. My mom's divorced from my stepdad. And it's a very real fear that I have. And I didn't realize all that until I'd signed the contract and I was kind of locked into this. So, just being honest. Anyway,
separating your personal life and your professional life. You have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of what's personal and what's professional, and to not take the work home with you and not take your personal baggage into the work. You take your personal self into there and who you are and your experiences and stuff like that, but you don't take the baggage, I guess, is kind of what I was getting at with that. And then, let's see, I did want to rant for a second. So, child welfare workers get a bad rap, like, from everyone. We were displayed as cold and, we're depicted as cold and heartless, and we look down at people and we judge people, and we're just there to snatch your kids and take your kids away, and we just don't want you to have your kids anymore. And that's been the theme in like TV shows and stuff. Whenever there's a social worker involved, they're just there to take your kids away. They're seen as an opposition. They're seen as antagonistic. And it can be. I mean, it very much, we do take people's kids away. That's part of it. But we take them away as a last resort. We take them away when they're not safe. We take them away when they're not getting their basic needs met on a consistent basis. And just seeing the way social workers are portrayed and TV. If anybody watched Grey's Anatomy's spin-off Private Practice, it's too late there, I took it off of Netflix. But every time they would call a social worker, that was what I was recently watching, and took notice of every time they call a social worker, it was a negative thing. It was always and they never depicted the social worker as helping with adoption or with foster care. The social workers were always bad people, and they were always depicted in that light. So, with the criticism we get from the media, the little to no recognition we get for the work we do, and the good that we do, and the advocacy, and all the policy and everything we try to pass, along with the workload, along with just the trauma of the job, it adds up. Child welfare has one of the highest turnover rates in any profession because of the work. And there's not enough in place to protect the workers. There's not enough in place to protect the children. It just seems like it's a losing system. But part of the reason I got into all this is because I know I have something good to offer, and I know I want to help, and I know I want to make a change for the better in the lives of families and of children, and in the profession as a whole, lives of colleagues, and I just want to contribute and do my part, and yeah. So I think I've kind of covered everything I wanted to cover. From the paper, there's the scholarly sources. I'm not really sure how to cite those in a video. And I know this is kind of just been like a diary entry. It's not really been a flashy presentation or anything. But yeah, it's just me being honest. This is from someone who is right at the cusp, getting ready to go into the workforce, and who has some experience in it, and I have a background with working with foster children and their families and social workers, and that we'll get into all that another time if you want to hear the story, but I have some experience, and there are times that I fear what is going to happen when I'm actually in it, and when I'm actually in the middle of it, and I'm actually on the front line all the time, and that's my life. And I am thankful for this class and for what it's taught me as far as self-care. And there's been a lot of reflection done, a lot of helping me understand who I am, personally and professionally, here. And so, yeah, I think I will close it out with that. And thank you guys for watching. And yeah, everybody enjoy your weekend. And I hope to see everybody soon.